Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today. My name is Mel Rose, and I'm here to share your daily aspects. Happy spring, y'all. Yesterday was the vernal equinox, and today is the sun's first full day in the sign of Aries. It is appropriate that at this time, the effects of that long stint we had with Venus in conjunct with Mars are beginning to fade. Aries is ruled by Mars, after all, and Mars's actions equate to our personal sense of initiative, while Aries represents the springing forth of the individual self. Being the very first sign of the zodiac, Sun in Aries announces the new year with increasingly longer days, with the initiative of life and growth in the natural landscapes around us, and with an energetic shift from winter to spring, from turning within to looking forward or outward. Chiron's presence in Aries at this time lends us this feeling of being on the mend, on the personal level. So when Chiron is in Aries, we seek to find solutions to any wounds or misunderstandings we have in regards to our personal identities and how we are perceived by other people. Many of us seem to find ourselves in one way or another feeling like we're on the outside looking in, that our personal sense of identity doesn't seem to fit what is reflected in culture, in our work, social, and civic spaces. Our outer life attention will be drawn to the questions we have about this phenomenon, providing an opportunity to heal that sense of identity and caring about how we fit in. The moon is in Scorpio today, and Scorpio is co-ruled by Pluto and Mars. So it's appropriate that on the first full day of the sun's transit through Mars-ruled Aries, that the moon also brings these Mars vibes for that sense of assertiveness in both our inner and our outer lives. Pluto's involvement signals the transformational vibration of this time as well. The end of one season, the beginning of another. It is possible that we're deep in our emotions at this time as we feel this Mars initiative coming in, and some self-mastery may be necessary. Mars and Aries can both drive us to behave in an immature way. Our desire for independence can lead to escapism if we don't maintain control of our emotions. And the waning gibbous phase of this moon points to a time of reflection, reviewing how things went for us as we culminated our intentions last month, and specifically with an eye toward what we would not like to repeat. We begin making the mental notes regarding what we can get rid of now, as it is of no further use to us. So we're in a review phase, and we begin to really notice what we can shed in terms of stuff, but also in terms of like ideas, attitudes, and dispositions that are no longer working for us. I'm going to go ahead and get right into the aspects. I just want to remind you that there is a key on the side. Almost all of the symbols make it into the legend, so if you're struggling with a symbol that you see out here, you can look over here and find a name and a keyword. Otherwise, I'm going to address them all as we go through the aspects. And I've divided the page into two columns, one for each of our luminaries. The moon is the luminary that sheds light on our inner lives. This is how it feels to be in our body, heart, and mind. It's those things we think, feel, know, and intuit, and also who we are in our domestic space, as well as who is there with us, our relationship to those people that we keep closest to us, right? And the lunar aspects are all really very brief. They each last about 2 hours, and they have more to do with what's happening on the inside, those things we think, feel, know, and intuit, but that might not ever find expression in the outer life, depending on our own choice. And then the sun sheds light on our outer life. That has more to do with who we are in our workspace and our social and civic spaces. And it's really the part of us that interfaces with the rest of the world, how people perceive us a little bit, but really our sense of initiative and our conscious focus on things out in the world. And I address the sun's aspects and all the other planets' aspects on this side because they have more to do with who we are in the outer life, and they generally take longer than these lunar aspects. So with all of that said, we start on the moon side of the page today, friends. Central Standard Time at 6:16 in the morning. The moon makes a square with Mars, and then at 7:58, the moon makes an opposition with Uranus. Now, these two, I've grouped them together because they are overlapping. And, Mars in aspect with, moon in aspect with Mars gives us this sense of initiative, and square can bring in a challenge, like perhaps the initiative that we're feeling is not very well received by other people. Perhaps we're a little too driven or too assertive, and it just makes us come across as impatient and unkind. And then moon in aspect with Uranus has us feeling this sort of instinctive desire to make shifts and changes, but that's an oppositional aspect right now, and so that can bring us into conflict. So taken together, this is a time where we may be feeling somewhat impulsive and assertive, but in a way that displays a lack of self-control that is disruptive and not well received. Remember, I was just talking about like having control of our emotions, having a bit of control over our sense of assertiveness as we are feeling things deeply. Okay, so sometimes our passions, especially when we're in a fire sign, our passions can get the better of us, and then we'll make moves that don't really work out for us, and that's what we want. That's what we're trying to avoid at this time. So just keep that sense of assertiveness with those passions, with those deeply felt emotions, sort of in check. Make sure that you are practicing some self mastery, so that you can enjoy the fruits of that inner work that you're doing. And then at 11:33 in the morning, the moon goes square to Venus. So moon in aspect with Venus has us feeling both attractive and attracted. We want to receive all of that, all of that affection and attention and those resources that we have drawn toward us. But in the square aspect, it can come across as sort of selfish or grabbing, sort of needy. So it's a bit of a self-love challenge. If you can't attract the attention that you want at this time, it's the time to take care of yourself, right? To give yourself the attention and affection that you need to be your own resource. And then at 7:08 in the evening, the moon makes a trine with Jupiter. Moon in aspect with Jupiter always really has us feeling happy and generous. We notice the growth in ourselves, and we feel really good about it, and we feel like, we can be kind to others as well. So with that trine aspect, again, that's really positive, perfect, ideal, harmonious functioning between, the inner life and this sense of expansion and growth. So we're feeling happy and generous, and, it's a good time for meetups and brainstorming. What came to mind was just like, communicating with other people, especially those that we keep close to us, those that are in our homes, or those that we keep close to our heart, about, the expansive ideas that we're having about ourselves and our lifetimes. We're going to talk about that a little bit here too. And then at 9:26 in the evening, the moon makes a trine with Venus. And at 10:49, the moon makes a square with Saturn. And I've grouped these two together as well because they are overlapping. The second one comes in while the first one is still in effect. And so what this brings me is, moon in aspect with Venus, again, we feel more attractive and attracted. We want those things. We want to receive that attention and affection. And in that trine aspect, it's, this was a selfish vibe, but this is really more a harmonious sense of relating and receiving, and it's really easy for us to just get what we want by asking for it. But then when the moon makes this square aspect with Saturn, that can feel like sort of running up against this wall of uncertainty, right? So Saturn is about tradition. It's about what's tried and true. It's about our sense of stability. And, if we're feeling challenged about our sense of stability, then that can be like a wall of uncertainty. So it's interesting. We start this with this sort of harmonious vibe that we can get whatever it is that we are willing to ask for, and then we might come up against this sense of uncertainty. That's okay. That's what we've been working on. Okay. That's what we're beginning to work on in terms of mending our sense of balance in our receptivity, and also mending our sense of impulsiveness when it comes to just going after the things that we desire. So remember that that's from like 9:30 to 9:30 to 12:45. So, that moon square Saturn can have a depressing effect where we were before feeling pretty confident and happy. And that's important to keep in mind as you're going into the evening. Maybe it's late in the evening, it's just time to go to bed and sleep on that sense of uncertainty that we may encounter, and see how we feel in the morning. Then on the sun side of the page, in the ongoing column, we have several things going on. So Venus sextile Chiron and the sun sextile Pluto are grouped together here because they are with us through the 24th. Venus conjunct Mars is still, we're sort of in a post shadow of Venus conjunct Mars. Yesterday was the last day for that actual conjunction. Now they have drifted apart. Venus has pulled way ahead of Mars. Soon Venus will be in a whole other sign besides Mars. So those partnership goals that we were working on, hopefully, we've done that work and we've got those things in motion, and we're not having to, still, definitely we still have to focus on our partnership goals. But what I'm saying is that we're coming into a more individuated space right now. So hopefully we've got our habits and our sense of why we're doing those things that we're doing in our partnerships sort of in mind and in hand as we're going forward. Venus in a sextile relation with Chiron here is about mending our sense of balance in receptivity. So Venus, balance and receptivity. Chiron, finding solutions and healing. And sextile is this very positive vibe where these two are cooperating. They are working together to help us heal. Okay. And balance and receptivity, let's talk about that. So, those are, there are all those things that we like, love, and can't get enough of. And of course, we're going to continue trying to attract those things into our lives, but we have to be careful not to be impulsive in the sign of Aries. We have to be careful not to be impulsive about just deciding that we want something else, or, letting our sense of desire lead us astray into some sort of escapist idea that we can get what we need outside of the commitments that we have already made. Okay. So, that's what I'm talking about, mending our sense of balance and receptivity. Know what you want. Know that you already have a plan as to how you're supposed to get there. Know that you have plenty of opportunities to make fresh, honest starts. And this one really relates to me to this Venus square Uranus down here, which is with us really just through the 26th, I think. And this is more like impulsive, and we're feeling impulsive and receptive in a way that might not be received well. So not everything that we can attract to us will fulfill us. And this is something that we need to be aware of and keep in mind. It's part of, again, finding solutions to feeling supported and feeling as though we're receiving what we need and desire and deserve. And then Sun sextile Pluto, it has us feeling very conscious, the sun, and cooperative with our sense of transformation in the world. Okay, the endings and the beginnings. So we're very aware that we're at the end of one season and the beginning of another. We're very aware of the deep and total changes that we have gone through over the past year, and the past several years. And we're feeling cooperative about that. We're feeling the forward motion. Pluto brings in a lot of personal power. So this is like a spotlight also on our sense of personal power. And nothing could say Aries or Mars to me more than the sun shining a spotlight on your personal sense of power. So we're really getting this sort of solar driven power, personal power boost as we move into the springtime here, into this time of life and growth and rebirth. And I think that's beautiful. Also on the ongoing side of the page, we have Mercury in a conjunct with Jupiter. That is just through tomorrow. These Mercury transits are really pretty brief, but Mercury in conjunct with Jupiter is really here to, remember we had that Jupiter sextile Uranus for a long time, and it was like make changes for the better and good fortune will follow. It was a very cooperative vibration. Now these two are really like right next to each other, right on top of each other in the sky. And, this is bringing in fresh understanding and vision. That's Mercury regarding our individual vastness and wisdom. And individual vastness and wisdom, that is a quote from Chani Nicholas. She said something to that effect in regards to this aspect, and I just thought it was beautiful. When you check within, are you, is it small inside or is it big? Hopefully we've been really opened up to notice, to understand, and to have a vision of how big we are on the inside, how much bigger we are on the inside, how much bigger and how much more we can be, do, and have in this life. So this is really having our eyes opened to that personal vastness. The part of us that is really large and expansive and capable of further growth, which we want to maintain contact with, right? We don't ever want our lives to become so small that, we lack creativity and forward motion and a sense of growth. And there's an asterisk by this one. This one links up also with Mars in a square position with Uranus. And what it does is this is like we have this restless, rebellious, revolutionary vibration. We want to act on the changes in a way that's a little bit not necessarily well received, right? So it can be a little assertive and it can seem rebellious, and but it's not for no reason. It's because we're focused on this better future that we're creating for ourselves. So now is the time to be acting, not reacting. Okay. Act on your impulse, act on your desire, act on your plan for yourself and the growth of your individual nature as well as your partnerships, rather than being in reaction to what other people think about you and your relationships, okay? All right, so, and then on the sun side of the page today we have Mars in this sextile position with Chiron. When does that come in? At 4 p.m. So Mars sextile Chiron, we've had this Venus sextile Chiron mending our sense of balance and receptivity. Now this is going to be mending our sense of initiative and our drive forward. And it's a very cooperative vibration. Again, these two have just been conjunct for a while, so they're going to make a lot of similar aspects as they move forward. Mars is in Aquarius, and so our initiative tends to be about our relationship, how we interact with the outer world, what we can do to lift up our friends, families, and neighborhoods, in addition to lifting up ourselves and our loved ones, sort of the rising tide that lifts all boats, but in action. Mars is about the action. So this is a time for positive, innovative problem solving. Mars represents Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac. So renewal always comes in, new ideas always come in. There's also a sense, because it's about action, it's about the physical body. There's a sense of physical renewal and this sort of ease with getting over obstacles. And this one's going to be with us through the 30th. So, yeah, when the obstacles come up, we should be able to just see how to deal with them and move around them. That's beautiful. We may actually want to begin taking on those New Year's ideas we had back in January to do some physical renewal, to get a little more active, to be a little more kind to our bodies in terms of what we put into them. This is a really good time to be getting started on that because it'll really help us mend and heal. And also, we're just really able to solve problems with clarity and with a quickness and with a sense of initiative at this time. And I think that's really great. And then coming up, again, we have that Mars in a square vibration with Uranus, which is going to bring in sort of a rebellious seeming vibe, like we want to act, but we don't necessarily want to act the way people think we should act. There's this Venus square Uranus over here that's the same. It's sort of like we want to receive, but we don't necessarily want to receive the way people think we should receive. So again, that's that sense of personal, emotional control over our vibes, our drives comes in. But with the understanding that we're not just feeling this sense of initiative to act, and that not just feeling this sort of rebellious nature for no reason. It's really because our eyes are being opened to the fact that our lives can be so much bigger than they are, that we can do and have so much more than we are already doing and having. And when you understand that, then perhaps you will get a little bit rebellious and say, yeah, so if that's the case, then I no longer want to be doing this thing that feels very limiting to me. And as long as we have good personal control over our emotions, over our fiery drives at this time, it's okay to still be making those changes in the direction of your better, most grand version of yourself, right? Then coming up to on Wednesday, Mercury will make a conjunct with Neptune. So this will be more fresh understanding and vision mingled with sort of inspiration and connection to spirit and connection to our relationship with humanity, Chiron and Aries. Third quarter moon coming up on Thursday in Capricorn. That'll be when we switch from reviewing to just letting go. Right, to just really releasing, packing up the boxes of stuff we no longer need and pushing them out the door, both literally and figuratively. Saturday, Mercury will make a sextile with Pluto, and this is going to be a conversation about discernment coming up, our ability to cognate and discern those endings and beginnings and what those transformative energies are really meaning for us. And then right after that, Mercury makes an aspect with Pluto, and then it makes ingress to Aries. So it's going to change signs, and our thoughts and our communications and our planning is going to become a little more clear and a little more forward and direct than it was in Pisces. So that is it for today's aspects. Thank you so much for hanging in with me through all of this information. If there's anything that comes up for you while you're looking at this, if you have any questions, if you want any clarification on something that I've said, please leave a note in the comments below. I will see it and I will respond. Also, if you're still here with me, why not like my video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, hit the notifications bell. I post here every day, and I wouldn't want you to miss a thing. At this point, I'm in the habit of turning to talk about some tarot. So we're shifting out of aspects and into tarot. First, we're going to talk about the tarot card on the side of the page, and then I'll do a quick review of the aspects for today, and I'll throw a tarot card for the energies of today. Hopefully. We'll see how well it aligns. All right. So the new card on the side of the page is the Two of Wands. And this is Wands because Wands relates to fire, and Aries is the cardinal fire sign of the zodiac. It's the first fire sign of the zodiac. So this is the first numbered fire card in tarot is the two. And so the Two of Wands really talks about planning and discovering. Okay, this is a point where our vision, this expanded vision that we have for ourselves, what we can be, do, and have, where our vision is being transformed into progress. Okay, so Aries is going to be assertive. Aries is going to do the work. Aries likes to show strength, and in this case, it's the strength to transform an idea into forward motion. To the strength to sort of turn the key on a lock that was really just a concept and turn it into something that is happening in the world. So it's very much about forward motion, about the progress we want to make and the work we're doing to make the progress. And there's this great quote from Labyrinthos about this card that says, this person beholds the material in which they can make their designs come true. So this is in this picture, this person has a little globe in their hand, and they're just saying, I can make my plans and sort of bend the earth to my will to turn all of the things that I can perceive into designs and ideas that come true for me and that help me bring into fruition my plans for the world and for my own life. I think that's really beautiful. There are roses and lilies on this card, so that's a really a sense of growth and a sense of peace. Just knowing that I have this initiative, I have this ability, this expanded idea of what I can be, do, and have. And, I can begin to make plans, like with the drive, with the initiative as the resource. So remember, in Cups, we're talking about the inner resource of emotion and intuition and inspiration. Well, inspiration also applies to Wands. It applies to fire. And, emotion and inspiration are nice, but without initiative, we're not really making any forward motion, right? So this is an inner resource called drive. It's called initiative. It is the will to get started. It is the will to move forward. It is the will to make action, to take action. So will and drive are inner resources here that help us manifest that grander version of what we can be, do, and have. That's what comes to mind to me for the Two of Wands today. Now I'm going to go ahead and mix up my cards while I remind myself and the cards that the sun is in Aries, and so is Chiron. And Chiron in Aries is very much about mending our sense of identity in relationship to the outer life, the rest of the world. And Aries is very much ruled by Mars, about taking action and being assertive in the world. So we definitely have that springtime vibe on us now, and we feel things. We can see the life bursting forth outside, and we can feel it inside, that sense of initiative, that desire to actually grow and bloom ourselves. And then the waning gibbous moon is in Scorpio, also co-ruled by Mars and Pluto. So again, this sense of action, of activeness, of physicality is coming in on the inner life, with perhaps some deep ideas and some deep emotions, some heartfelt things that are coming up for us that we feel a desire to take action on. And as long as we have good control over our emotional selves, as long as we are not looking to escape something, it's okay to find expression for those deep feelings, especially in this waning gibbous time, as we review what we would not like to have going forward and start to think of what we can shed in terms of those things, ideas, attitudes, and dispositions that we know that no longer work for us. Venus, friends, Venus and Mars still doing a lot of work on the page. Venus sextile with Chiron and Venus square with Uranus are saying, we might feel impulsive and receptive. We might, our eye might wander. Our idea of how we might get what we desire or need might be in a shifting or changing way. But that we have to realize that not everything we can attract to us is going to be fulfilling. And when we have that understanding, we can help to mend our sense of balance in receptivity, mend our sense of like what we need and desire, and why we need and desire it, and why we have made the commitments we have made to meet those needs and desires. Sun sextile Pluto is just like this boost of personal power as personal internal power as we move into Aries, which requires a lot of personal drive and initiative. And then Mars in that sextile with Chiron is really bringing us with that boost of power as we move into Aries, like this positive, innovative sense of being able to solve our problems and surmount our obstacles, and really even renew ourselves, not just mentally and emotionally, but physically. And then Jupiter conjunct Mercury, or the other way around. You know, we have this new view, this fresh understanding of how much bigger we can be, how much more we can be, do, and have in our lives. And then on the lunar side of the page, you know, we've got some challenging aspects for sure. We can be a little bit impulsive, a little bit selfish, a little bit assertive in a way that is not very well received by others. Again, we have to really keep an eye on that self-control when it comes to our emotions and our drives at this time. But, you know, otherwise, we also have some opportunity in the evening to feel really happy and generous, and have this harmonious sense of relating with the people we keep closest to us. So I love those vibes, guys. And with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and throw this card. Oh, we got the Emperor. Yay! So the Emperor is, I mean, I couldn't have planned that better on my own. The Emperor is a representative of Aries in the Tarot. And the Emperor is, you know, initiative, drive, problem solving, initiative. You know, the Emperor is very active, and the Emperor is the person who's the king of all they survey, and the Emperor is the person who makes the rules, who doesn't necessarily follow the rules, right? We've got this little rebellious vibe coming in over here, saying, and also over here, where we're saying we don't always follow the rules. We prefer to try to make the rules. We set the standards for the way things are going to go. But this is really positive sign. This is a very positive card for the sun's first full day in Aries, and it just says really that your vision, your expanded vision for what you can be, do, and have will get you there. It can get you there if you follow that sense of initiative, if you engage in that problem solving, if you I want to say, you know, this also points to that emotional self-control, that control of those drives and impulses that we've been talking about. Sun sextile Pluto asks us to rein in those impulses that we usually allow to sort of fritter away our power, to rein them in, to use all of that drive and impulse toward, you know, the expansion of our own boundaries, the expansion of ourself. Because what does the emperor rule but a land that is the extension of the emperor's self? So, and it's very much about rulership. It's about being in command of yourself, your impulses, your drives, and using those impulses and drives to find that sense of personal expansion that you know is there, to express it, to feel it on the inside, and know it so well that you can make it manifest on the outside. And it goes so well with the Two of Wands here too, because again, Aries, fire, Wands, fire. Emperor is very much a fiery, driven figure who makes plans, who discovers new things, and who transforms vision into progress, who transforms ideas into forward motion. So beautiful. Thank you for being here for that. I think that's all I have to say about it, so I'm going to let you go right here. I appreciate you all so much for showing up today. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Mel Rose, and I will see you all back here tomorrow for more Astrology Today.